if you're a person who grew up with Nickelodeon, you remember certain classic shows like Nicky, Ricky, Dicky, and Dawn, SpongeBob, a lot of just great shows, right? But there was some that I cannot just fathom ever watching again, which I felt like were killing my brain cells every single time that I was watching them. Today I'm going to talk about four of them. Number one, Pig Goat Banana Cricket. God, I hated this show, man. I hated this show. What made this show so annoying is that this show was all over the place, which is something you're going to find as a theme for the rest of these cartoons and shows, right? It felt like everything was just everywhere and you couldn't pay attention to it because it was just trying to do too many things and fit it inside one story. And I hated that. I hated the fact that it would go on random tangents. You would ask yourself as a kid, like, what does this have to do with anything going on with the main story, right? How does this come together with what you presented as your main conflict? Like, I don't understand. What does this have to do with anything, you know? You couldn't pay attention to it just because it was all over the place. It aired from 2015 to 2023. It stopped airing in 2023 on Paramount, right? And I watched it on Nickelodeon. I'm not sure when it stopped airing on Nickelodeon. It felt like I was watching actual Brainrot because it did not stick to a story. It was all over the place. And me personally, I don't like shows like that, you know, and you're going to find that as a theme for the rest of these other shows that I'm going to tell you about. Number two, Toon Marty. God, bro. Just looking at this visual gives me war level PTSD. That's how bad the show was. It felt like the show was made for children, right? If you wanted to do something for children, you put it on Nickelodeon Junior, not Nickelodeon, the actual show, right? And this felt like I was watching a Nick Jr. show because some of the things that it would do, it ended up just making the whole show weird. Some of the things that were here didn't need to be here. You know, if you haven't noticed yet, I was more into the more down to earth shows. When they would make jokes, it would be like it would be chill. It wouldn't be like all over the place, over the top and everything. I hated just how much this show went on tangents. Just nothing to do with the main story. It would just go off into a whole tangent and it was like, fuck, what am I watching? One episode that I ended up liking, and I thought it was pretty creative just because it was poking fun at the very nature of cartoons and spin-offs. It doesn't matter what we do on this episode, on the next episode it is going to be cleared up, right? I found that like very, very creative, and that was the only time I ended up like enjoying that. The rest of the shows, it just felt like the show was waging a war against my fucking brain cells. So that's Toon Marty. It ran for only 25 days. It only ran for 25 days, ladies and gentlemen. That's not just my opinion. A lot of people ended up thinking that. Let's go to the next one. The third one, dear Christ, Bunsen is a beast. Lord knows I hated this show because every single person on this show was fucking annoying. That's just how I felt. Every single person on this show was born to be annoying. I feel like the person I found most annoying was the main character. It's just his voice. There's something about the voice which I did not like. And I felt like it was actual brain rot because some of the shit they would end up saying, some of the side gags they ended up pulling, it just felt like I was watching a brain rot video, which it would be like, this is so random, like why is this here, you know? Like a lot of these shows, they just didn't stick to the story that they started with. They just go off on fucking tangents, and the side gags were just so fucking random. They weren't funny, and I felt like I was watching an actual lobotomy. So that was Bunsen is a Beast. It ran from January 16th, 2017 to February 10th, 2018, right? And every time I watched this show, it felt painful. I can't explain it as well as Fantano doing music reviews. I can't do that. That's just the way I felt. The next one hurts my soul to say, but I felt like it has to be here. The fourth show that I ended up just hating the fuck out of was SpongeBob. Now, before you come at me in the comments, I'm not talking about this SpongeBob. I'm talking about this SpongeBob. Do you see the difference? Right? Basically, they took everything that made SpongeBob, and they stripped him, and they literally made it an unrecognizable show. And for me, I heard it was because Steven Hillenburg left. I'm not sure if that's what happened. It felt like the life of the show ended up just dying, right? Because it would have so many random things. SpongeBob would just be like hyper. His color was just hyper saturated, and it was like watching a Coco Melon video. Like all the colors are just set to max saturation. He was just hyperactive for no reason. And they took Patrick and they made him from a dumb person to an actual like disabled being. Like he was literally mentally disabled. That's how I felt, man. Patrick was an actual child. With the previous seasons, watching Patrick, it felt like watching, your funny friend, like, who would just do dumb shit. To now, it felt like, okay, now you're just annoying. You're dumb beyond reason. It felt like they took everything off of SpongeBob and they made him unrecognizable. So that's why I feel like SpongeBob ended up falling into the category of Brainrot, right? So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was 4 shows that I felt like were actual brain rot on Nickelodeon. If anyone feels like, okay, why are you making this video? It's because I grew up with Nickelodeon and this is my channel, right? I can talk about whatever. So other than that, tell me what you think in the comments. What other shows do you feel like were so painful to watch on Nickelodeon that you just had to turn it off, or you just had to change channels, right? Other than that, I'll see you guys later. Peace.